Bonjour YouTube, welcome back to our channel. As you can see, the setup is a little different because today I will be showing you our collection of J.R.R. Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings. So, on y va! As you know, Amazon is about to release on 2nd of September the anniversary of the death of Tolkien. It's a bit bizarre. They're about to release the Rings of Power TV show that is supposedly based on his work, but all we've seen so far is contradictory to what Tolkien has created and what Tolkien has put into his work. Instead of focusing on that, I thought it would be a really good way to honor his memory, honor his work, by showing you the collection that I have of his books and the films of Peter Jackson. So let's start. I will start with the first and the main book that got me into Tolkien is Lord of the Rings itself. This book, I remember first reading it when I was 14 years old, and I didn't want to finish the book. I didn't want to let the book go. I didn't want to I just didn't want to live in real life anymore. You know, the fantasy, the world that he created was so incredible that I just wanted to stay there. I wanted to live there with the hobbits, I wanted to be an elf, and I didn't need to be represented in any films. I just loved what was created and what was brought to us. I thought it was incredible, and after that I obviously couldn't miss Peter Jackson's films that were an absolute incredible masterpiece, each and every single one of them. I don't have the Hobbit because I didn't really enjoy the Hobbit as much. I thought maybe, I don't know, it's a conflicting situation with the Hobbit film because I mean you don't take one book and create 3 films out of it. Things happen, and I'm not gonna be criticizing that. But Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, I have the extended version here of the DVDs, and I only watched the extended version. I rewatched this film, I don't know, I rewatch it at least once a year. I'm not like obsessed with it, but my soul kind of has a holiday when I watch it. I can never get tired of it. Every single time I watch Lord of the Rings, I find something new. Of course, I find things that don't match the books, but it's okay because Peter Jackson still stuck to the books in majority, and you can see he created his best work. He put his best into that work, and you can see that the actors gave everything. They gave everything to the story, which brings me to the actors of the new show, where all they do is just activism and talk about themselves, how they should be represented, how they felt. Like there's no story about the actual TV show. We have no idea. All we know is that their first representation of something, first something this, something that, you know, first this, first that, is what they care about. And that's a completely different vibe from the Peter Jackson's time. So back to the books. I have the Lord of the Rings. First of all, I got this one. This one is Super Deluxe Edition. It's my recent purchase because when we moved countries, I don't have the previous version that I had. I love this one because it comes in this beautiful blue box that apparently is only for European region, because in America they don't have the box, they just have the book. And it has Tolkien's illustrations for Lord of the Rings itself. It's a stunning book. But when I got it, I thought, okay, I'm gonna read it and, you know, I'll be okay. But then I realized that I don't want to read this book because I don't want to damage it, I don't want to spoil it. So I got myself paperback books. And these are the ones that I read all the time. They're the ones that are my to-go-to books and to take with me. The next ones, I also have The Hobbit, of course. Naturally, you have to have The Hobbit. I've got the paperback edition of The Hobbit, the regular one, and then I've got the facsimile edition of The Hobbit, which is a gift set. This one I absolutely adore and love because, first of all, it's this beautiful packaging. It's got like this cover thing, I don't know what you call that thing. It's like when you move it around, it shows like a 3D kind of image. We used to have these cards when we were kids. And then the book itself, it's the first version. It's the initial version of The Hobbit that was published in 1937. Tolkien edited it later on, especially the Riddles in the Dark chapter. He changed that chapter to be more in line with Lord of the Rings. If you want to get the original version, it's facsimile edition, and then the usual edition, the normal regular edition of The Hobbit is the one that was edited later. I've got Silmarillion. I don't have it in the hardback, I have it in paperback. The reason why is because the hardback, apparently there is this amazing new illustration that's coming out in November this year. So I'm waiting for that because it will feature the illustrations from Tolkien himself. Until then, I have my paperback. It's absolutely fine. And I've got this other book that's called The Bilbo's Last Song, and it's actually a very small, it looks like a children's book, and it's a small poem. It's an interesting addition to read after you finish Lord of the Rings. So after you're done with Bilbo's Last Song and the Silmarillion, natural progression should take you to Unfinished Tales. I've got Unfinished Tales in paperback, so I can use it and read it anywhere I want. And also I have it in the hardback because I really like this edition of the hardback. It's got illustrations by Alan Lee, John Ho, and Ted Nasmith. I absolutely love this edition. There is a Silmarillion like that, but I'm still, as I mentioned already, I'm waiting for the illustrations of Tolkien himself. That edition is coming out in November this year. Then I've got this beautiful, I would say coffee table book. It's called Pictures by Tolkien. And this is a collection of pictures that were done by J.R.R. Tolkien himself. It must be noted that he wasn't really sure if he was good at illustrations or not. He was very critical and highly critical of himself and his own illustrations. However, as we know, people loved it. It's a beautiful collection of illustrations that was reissued recently, and I absolutely love it. And finally, I've got the 3 books of the 3 last tales, last publications of Christopher Tolkien, the son. It's Children of Húrin, Beren and Luthien, and The Fall of Gondolin. Standalone books that I personally enjoy. I love them, and highly recommend them as well. Who wouldn't recommend Tolkien? You have to read Tolkien. It makes your life so much better. This is my collection. It's still growing. Of course, I'm waiting for the Silmarillion to come out. I still have a few things to buy. I want to get the Atlas of the Middle-earth and other things. I cannot judge the show yet. I don't know how it's going to be. I want it to be good. I really do, because do you know why? Who is not going to be happy with a good fantasy film? Big budget production. You know, if it's good, fantastic. But so far, the promo material, the marketing material, the interviews have all been a complete disaster. All they've been doing is trying to divide the viewers, divide people. They have been pitting the fans against everybody else and even accusing fans of different things. I think it's unacceptable to behave this way. I think it will not yield them any timeless support, or, you know, how Lord of the Rings, the trilogy done by Peter Jackson, was of course criticized at the time because he changed a little bit here and there. You know, he changed a few things in the films. They were not in the books, those things. But he still created something gorgeous and beautiful that even 22 years on, 21, 22 years on, people still watch them. People still love watching them. People watch them all over the world. This was the beauty, and it is the beauty of Tolkien's work. It unites people. It unites people from any background, from any nationality, any country. People love Lord of the Rings. People love it because it connects to them. So whatever is happening right now with what Amazon is trying to do, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. I could be wrong, and I will be happy to be wrong. You know, I will be happy to be wrong in this. But so far, from what we've seen, all that has been going on is actors are being more of activists rather than actors. They love to talk about themselves and nothing else. They don't talk about Tolkien. Many of them show that they have no idea about Tolkien. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but, you know, from what I've seen, it has been a complete disaster, in my opinion. And it has no respect for the books, it has no respect for the original work, it has no respect for Tolkien, his ideas, his work. And Lord of the Rings is about uniting people. Uniting everybody for the greater good. Against evil. We thank you for your support. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And even if the show turns out to be absolute garbage and dumpster fire, don't worry. There are always the books, there are always Peter Jackson's films, and that is already more than enough. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and until the next time, au revoir.